Okay, today it's all about trying to refocus, recommit to being intentional and staying on the course, continuing to stay focused on those 6 key areas and having a plan every day, not just winging it or going by your feelings because let me tell you where that's gotten me lately. So, about 3 or 4 months ago, I shared with you all a morning routine that I had been doing. So, it's where I look at each of the 6 areas and think about what is happening in my life today that will allow me to incorporate some small action in each of these 6 areas and stay focused on the long game. How do I continue to be intentional about these 6 areas? So, for instance, when we talk about purpose, I think about what am I going to do today? What is on my agenda that is going to allow me to fulfill my purpose today, to get a little bit closer to feeling like I am fulfilling my purpose. Social connections. Who can I reach out to today? Who can I strengthen a relationship with today? What opportunities might I have to enhance social connections today? Growth mindset. What am I reading today? What podcast am I listening to? What am I learning today? How do I make sure that I incorporate some time every day for growth mindset? Nutrition. What's my schedule like? Do I have lunch plans with friends that I have to account for? Have I been slack on getting enough protein? What is it that I want to make sure I incorporate into the day today that keeps me on track with my nutritional goals? And then movement. So what is it that I want to do to make sure that I continue to get enough movement? How do I make sure I'm planning to get enough steps in? How do I make sure that I'm getting strength training in? Flexibility exercises, yoga, to make sure that I stay limber and flexible. And then finally, sleep. So what's my sleep been like? Do I need to pay attention to one particular thing today as opposed to another? How do I make sure I incorporate practices that help me to stay consistent in getting a good solid 8 hours of sleep every night? So that had been my routine every day, every morning, first thing, before I look at any social media, before I look at the news, before I do anything else. It's a morning prayer and reflection, and then head right into those 6 key areas and think about what it is that I want to make sure I incorporate into my day in each one of those 6 areas. And then my next step is making sure that I identify 3 things that I know I want to get accomplished today. 3 things around my business, 3 things maybe around the house that I need to get done. What are 3 things that I know I want to get done today that I can feel like I've been productive at the end of the day? And so that had been my routine. Since I pulled this calf muscle and have been struggling to get back to a routine, I've gotten out of that practice to the extent that I was doing it. So I'll still start my morning with a morning reflection, a morning prayer, but I hadn't been as diligent about making sure that each of those areas has intentional actions in it. And so while I've been going to physical therapy, I've been getting better little by little. It's been improving. And my physical therapist told me that I needed to just continue to take it slow, and I was going to have sort of a back and forth. You know, it's not going to all be a straight line of progression. I may start feeling it a little bit and have to back off, feel it a little bit more, back off. And so that was my plan. I woke up on 4th of July, saw that they decided to have pickleball at Lamar Dixon, was so excited because I was feeling so good, and I decided this is it. I am back. I am going back to play today. Called my friend Jeannie, all excited. Let's go play. I'm ready to play. Got back there, did a lot of stretching, a lot of warming up, Really taking my time to get ready to be able to play. Started out very slow. First game, got through it. It was fabulous. And I decided, okay, I need to just be conscious of whether it's hurting or not, and stop if it starts hurting. But so far, it feels great. Got into the second game, same thing. Went through it, not a problem at all. I thought, I am home free. This is great. And then my third game, I guess it just had gotten weaker over time, and I did not feel any warning that anything was going to happen, or that I was getting more vulnerable in my calf. And right at the end of the game, all of a sudden, I took a step. Nothing out of the ordinary, no jump, no leaps, no big lunge, just took a step, and it felt like something just completely shattered in my calf. I am hoping it's not as bad as it felt, but I couldn't even walk off the court. And so for the last couple of days, I've been just laid up, elevating that whole RICE method, right? Rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Been doing that. I have an MRI scheduled for Wednesday. But here's my lesson, is if I would have been thoughtful and planful that morning, I would have recognized that I need to go and play one game and then step back. Continue that 1% progress, right? It's not about jumping all the way in. It's not about the fast wins. It is about incremental improvement. And if I would have done that, I don't think I'd be in the situation I'm in now. So my lesson, I hope it resonates with some of you, and I hope that maybe you think about an area of your life that you've been slack on being consistent around, you've been slack on planning around, and maybe this will help you to recommit to not just relying on emotion and what you feel like doing and how you feel about it, but really being intentional and thoughtful about where you're trying to get and the slow, small, incremental steps that will get you there.